Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and we are back for the prediction show for La Liga's weekend football. So let's get right into it. We are gonna go ahead and predict, and we're gonna see how many of our predictions are correct and how many of them are wrong. Some of the teams, took part in the Champions League, and their results were quite surprising, and we're gonna see whether that affects their performance in La Liga this week or not. There were games on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. The games that were Betis, they were not able to play against Getafe because they were in the Conference League, so they played on a Wednesday. Then Mallorca have already played against Sociedad, and Leganes, they also played against the Athletic Club because of their future participant in the tournament. So it is going to be quite interesting weekend, that as most of the clubs were involved in midweek action. So we're going to see how that affects them. We are going to start with Alaves versus Sevilla. And now, Alaves, their start of the season has been really surprising. Like 1 week they are really good, and the other week they just go and destroy everything. For example, last week they were on a 3-game undefeated streak. They lost on the first day, then they drew, then they won the last next two games, and they were playing against an Espanyol side who, to be very honest with you, were not really they were also in sort of a mini revival, but I really expected Alaves to go ahead and get that win against the Espanyol, but they did not. And I mean, a big win for Espanyol. That is a huge win, to be very honest with you, defeating Alaves, and they need those points early on in the season. They are one of the promoted teams, so a lot of eyeballs on them, and a lot of teams are gonna take them lightly, so that they can use that to their advantage, especially when they are at home. And Alaves paid the price for it. They are this week they are playing against Sevilla, who they would be really over the moon. They got their first win of the season, and it was very important for them to get that. They finally get out of that relegation places, and they move up to 15th or 16th. It is going to be quite an interesting game. Sevilla would be very high on confidence after that win, but they are playing an Alaves side who I think are doing really good. Even they lost that game 3-2, but it was a good game of football. Sevilla, even though they have won, I don't think that euphoria is going to last that much longer. I think they are going to be brought back down to reality quite quickly, and I think Alaves are going to be the reason for that. I don't know what's happening here, but I think Alaves are going to be the reason for that. I'm going for a comfortable 2-0 win for Alaves. Moving on to the next game, it is Valladolid versus Real Sociedad, and both these teams are really struggling, to be very honest with you. Both of them are 15th and 16th. They are winless, both of them in 4 or 5 games. 5 games for Sociedad. They have played an extra game as compared to Valladolid. And Valladolid, in a way, you could say you expected that from them, that they could have a sort of a season like that. They started with a win, but after that it has been a downward spiral. They lost against they lost to Celta last week 3-1, and they were never really in that game. Celta were 2-2 good for them. Sociedad, on the other hand, I don't know what has happened to them. They were one of the favorites. They were one of the favorites to get into the top 4. Everybody predicted them to have a great season, but it has been a quite horrendous start for them. They lost to Real Madrid last weekend, and then they had a midweek game against Mallorca, and everybody would have thought that they are going to win, but they lost that game as well. So it is a loss after loss for them, and they are really in a bad place. I think if they have to win, if there is one game that they can win and they really need to win, I think it's this game against Valladolid. They need to at least get something out of this game, because it's looking really bad for them. But I don't think they are going to be able to win this game the way they are playing Valladolid at home. If Sociedad were at home, I might have given them something, but no, they are away and they are playing a Valladolid who themselves would want to get something out of this game. That is why I'm going for a draw. I'm going for a 1-1 draw between Sociedad and Valladolid. The next game is Osasuna versus Las Palmas. And I mean, a it was a quite an interesting weekend for both of these team. Also, both of them lost, but Las Palmas had a really close game against Athletic Club. I mean, it was a quite a fun game to watch that one, but in the end they lost 3-2. Also, Suna, they suffered a shock defeat at the hands of Rayo Vallecano. I expected that game to be a close one, but I really did not think that Osasuna were gonna go ahead and lose that game. But as I said, they did. Both of these teams would want to come back to winning ways, and I think it is going to be quite a fun game to watch, and that is why I'm going. I don't think either of them are gonna win, but I think it is going to be a fun game to watch anyway. I'm going for a high scoring 2-all draw between Osasuna and Las Palmas. The next game, it is Girona versus Valencia versus Girona. Valencia are at home, and their season has been dreadful, to be very honest with you. 5 games in, 4 defeats, 1 draw, and it is not looking really good. The football they are playing, it's not really working for them. They got thrashed by Atletico Madrid 3-0 last weekend. It keeps on getting worse and worse for them, and they need to do something really quickly. Otherwise, they are facing a relegation battle for the ages, to be very honest with you. They are playing against Girona, who themselves got thrashed by Barcelona last week 4-1. I thought that game was gonna be, quite close. I went for that was, I think 2-2 was my prediction, but Barcelona completely changed everything, and I don't think it is gonna be the same thing for Girona this week. I think they're gonna come back this weekend, and I think they are gonna get a win out of Valencia, because I don't see Valencia winning that game. I don't see them scoring any goals. I just don't see anything from them. I think it's going to be a comfortable win for Girona. I think they go there and they get quite a comfortable win, in a 3-0 win for Girona. I know it is bold, but I think the way that Valencia are playing, it is quite possible. So 3-0 for Girona. The next game, it is Real Madrid versus Espanyol, and Espanyol have sort of made a good comeback after the start that they had, but of course they are playing Real Madrid, so it is going to be a tough game, and they are playing at Santiago Bernabeu. They lost their first 2 games, Espanyol, and then they drew, and then they won their last 2. So they defeated Alaves as well. As I say, they have sort of had a mini revival, a 3-game undefeated streak, but they are playing Real Madrid, who now know that there is no room for error. They are already 4 points behind Barcelona, so they cannot let go of any points. So it's every game for them is very crucial, and I think the way they play and their players are starting to gel in and amongst themselves. The link up play between Rodrigo or Vini and Mbappe and all the midfield, it is starting to click, and I think it is gonna come together as the season goes on, and that is why I think it is going to be a comfortable win for Real Madrid. This one I'm going for a 2-0 win for Real Madrid. Moving on, the next game is Getafe versus Leganes. It is quite a tough game to call, to be very honest with you. Both of these teams have a really bad week. Both of them lost on the weekend, and then both of them played in the week midweek, and they both lost those games as well. Getafe, they are still winless after 5 games. They are at 18th, if I am not wrong. Leganes themselves, it's not like they are flying high or something. They are at 15th place in the league. Their form has also not been really that good. They have lost their last 3 games. They won on the opening day, and after that it has been a downward spiral, and I think it's not going to be that not a good game of football, to be very honest with you. I think it will be quite a boring game. This one, both teams are already down. They need something, but I don't think they are going to be able to produce something for the fans or for themselves. I think it's going to be quite boring, and that is why I'm going for a 0-0 draw between Getafe and Leganes. Moving on to the next game is Athletic Club versus Celta Vigo. Both of these teams are having a good season. Athletic Club started slow, but they are slowly coming back into their group. They have moved up to the number 5th in the table. Celta, on the other hand, they started really good. They won their first 2 games, then they lost their next 2 games. Last weekend they won, and they are right back in it at number 6 in the league. They are looking really good. Their performances have been really good. Athletic, they won on the weekend as well, and then they won their midweek game as well against Leganes 2-0. So as I said, they are starting to get into the groove, and I think this is going to be quite a fun game to watch as Celta are away. But I said this last week and the week before, that Celta Vigo's games are becoming one of my favorites because of the way they are playing. There's always drama in those games. There are always goals in those games, and I think it is going to be the same this week as well. They are playing again against Athletic Club, who themselves like to play attack-minded football. So it is going to be quite an open game. I think you would expect Athletic to continue winning the way that they have played over the last week in those games. But then again, you can say they played 2 games. Just like this is going to be their 3rd game in 8 days, and in comparison to Celta, who had a full week's rest, I don't think either of them win that game. I think it will be quite fun. I think it will be quite entertaining. That is why I'm going for quite a high scoring game. I'm going for a 3-all draw between Athletic Club and Celta Vigo. I know it is out there, but sometimes you're gonna have to do something like this just for the fun of it. I think it will be quite a fun game to watch. The next game is Villarreal versus Barcelona. One of the out of the 2 of the teams that are still undefeated in the league. Barcelona at the top, 5 games played, 5 wins. Villarreal number 4, 5 games played, 3 wins and 2 draws. So both of them are in a really good form, and it will be quite an interesting game. It is like the first tough test for Barcelona. I said the same thing last week against Girona, but Barcelona completely demolished them. But I think going away at Villarreal, it is going to be quite tough for them, and I really think this really could be the game where Barcelona finally go ahead and draw points, especially they now have a couple of injuries, and their performances in the Champions League were also not really good. And I think Villarreal might shock us. They might go ahead and win that game, but I'm not going to be that bold. I'm going for a draw in this game again. I think Barcelona are going to drop their first points of the season this weekend. I'm going for a 1-all draw between Villarreal and Barcelona. The next game, of course, it is Rayo Vallecano versus Atletico Madrid. Both teams won last weekend. Both teams won quite convincingly. And Rayo, to be very honest with you, they are having a really good season, a surprising season. Nobody really expected them to do that good. I thought they were going to be one of the teams that are going to fight for relegation, but the start of the season has been quite good. Atletico, on the other hand, one of the teams who is still undefeated in the league. So I expect a good game of football from these 2. But again, it's Atletico Madrid, the firepower they have this season, and the same thing that I said about Real. The players that Atleti have brought in, they are starting to gel, they are starting to click, and they're starting to link up quite good. And I think it is going to be a big task for the Rayo defense to keep them out and to stop them from scoring. I think it is going to be quite tough for them, and I think that is why I am going for an away win. I think Rayo, even though they have been really good, I think they are gonna suffer another defeat here, and Athletic get that huge important 3 points. I am going for a 2-0 win for Atletico Madrid. And the final game this weekend is Real Betis versus Mallorca. Now Real Betis have had a good week last week. They won on the weekend. They won in the midweek as well. Mallorca, they lost on the weekend, but they won against Sociedad in the midweek. Both of them have had a good start to the season as well. Betis at the moment are 7, Mallorca at 8. So it's going to be a good game of football. I've been really impressed with Betis. I said all over in the previews and prediction. I think they Betis are going to be one the dark horses of this season. Nobody's really paying that much attention to them. Their transfer business was also very shrewd and very good. They have brought in great players and they have brought them for free as well. So I think they were going to have a good season, and the signs are starting to show that their season is going to be good. They are playing against Mallorca. As I said, their season has been quite a surprise till now. Their performances have been really good. Nobody expected them them to do this good, so they would like that to continue. And but I think this game might be too much for them. Betis have been really good, and I think they are gonna continue their good form in this game as well. I will be very honest, I think this game could go either way, but I am just gonna go with the home team. I'm gonna give them the home advantage, and I think Betis are gonna edge it in the end. I'm going for a 2-1 win for Real Betis. That is it for me in this video. All the predictions done, so we are gonna see how many of my predictions are right and how many of them I mess up. Please play along with me in the comment section below. Make your predictions, and we're gonna see whose predictions are correct at the end of the weekend. Like the video, share it as well, click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.